And Amy, GM, welcome to the stage. How's it going?
Hello everyone. Hi David, hi everyone, hi Christian. Um, I am Amy and I head business development here at Cetus Protocol. A few of you already are pretty familiar with me, so yeah, thank you all for being here and thank you all for being very patient and supportive throughout the past few days. Thank you.
Absolutely. And do we have anyone behind the seat as PFP?
Yeah, this is Joe. Thanks, David, for all the support and coordination for this AMA. And yes, today we are just here to talk openly about the recent Cities incident and the progress we've been made in recovery, and also our next steps. Uh, to be honest, we never imagined that someday we have to connect and talk with our audience in this way. But now, as the thing has happened, we believe our community deserve a better communication and better transparency. And thanks for C Foundation and David and everything behind the stage to help us set this out. And we just want to grab this opportunity to say a truly sorry to our community and want to provide all the information and progress we have to our community. And that's why we are here.
Well, we really appreciate you guys showing up and taking some time to do a space. Again, we all have been patient because we know how hard the CETUS team has been working around the clock. One of the best teams building on SWE. And sometimes, for lack of better words, sometimes shit happens. And I'm a big believer that it's how you respond, it's how you show up, and it's how you move forward. And so today that's really what we're talking about. We're going to do a little bit of an overview. We've had many different spaces. We've had Adani talk about it. We've had separate spaces with other Dex protocols and builders, etc. And I think at this point the community kind of understands what has gone on, but we'd like to hear it in Cetus's terms. What was the exploit exactly about? What exactly was the vulnerability? We'll get into some of this, and then if you guys are listening in, we're also going to be talking about just from a technical standpoint, right? How the team reacted, how the team has been working diligently, what the next steps are, and then going forward, how collectively we build trust and we build a stronger ecosystem on Sweep. So that's kind of the agenda or overview for the space today. We're not going to do any questions. Again, we should, I think generally speaking, we should be thankful and appreciative. CETUS is showing up as Gio said, they want to create better communication with the community. The situation has not been the best for anyone, but here we are, we're moving forward. So I think Gio or Henry or Amy, again, in Cetus's words, could you kind of just do a high level overview? How did the exploit happen? What was the vulnerability? And just some things on the technical side that you can share.
Sure. I can take this first. So overall, this attacking incident is actually a smart contract level exploit, and it is not related to the underlying blockchain. It's totally originated because of a smart contract bug. The attacker exploited a vulnerability in our CRMM contract, stemming from a bug in our integer-made open source library. There's a bug in the function of mass U256 checking method in our integer-made open source library. This is a code base which our CRMN contract is dependent on. We found errors in the overall verification logic of this function, which finally leads to a failure to detect the data overflow that were delicately crafted by the hacker. So based on this bug and leveraging this flaw, the attacker was able to overflow the calculation of how much they needed to pay to add liquidity to a pool, and allowing him to pay in at a very low price, nearly zero price, and finally liquidate at a much higher price to drain the liquidity of a particular pool. And the overall attacking procedures made it include, so firstly, the attacker initiated a flash swap to temporarily dump the pool price to nearly zero. And then he opened a position at a much higher price tick range. After that, he leveraged an incorrect overflow check in the add liquidity logic to inject an fake position, or say an artificially large liquid position with only minimal tokens, very low value. And then he tries to remove liquidity to drain the token reserves. He keeps calculating how much liquidity is left in the pool and repeat this liquidity removal precise for multiple rounds for each pool until the liquidity of a particular pool is almost drained to zero. So that's the overall procedures. And all the attacking and explode is originated from the bug in our integer mate smart contract, which our CRM contract depends on. And here I also would like to clarify a few rumors and misunderstandings on the social media, because we saw there was some explanation or misinterpretation of the root cause of this exploit. And the exploit itself has no relation to flash loan issues. There's no relation to flash loan issues or any arithmetic errors, because I saw someone says it's because of an arithmetic errors of max U64 checking, but that's not true. And some people have misinterpreted this exploit, and but in fact, the entire exploit incident itself is originated from the simple bug in our integer made open source library. It's a simple and small bug, but it caused tremendous losses to our community and our protocol. So that's the case, and we sincerely apologize for this oversight. But that's only the root cause of this whole attacking exposing in the whole process.
Well, that was certainly more technical than I. That was a little bit over my head, but you did a great job explaining it, and I actually learned a few things. As you know, Geo, there's been many conversations on X, on Spaces, people trying to understand what happens, and as you said, sometimes it can be misunderstandings or misinformations, but we appreciate you setting the record straight, really trying to explain this. And Amy or Henry, is there anything else that you would want to add to what Gio said, maybe about from a technical standpoint or the vulnerability itself? Or do you think you summed it up well?
Yeah, I mean, the technical side of things, he had it covered, and he has more understanding than I ever will, to be honest. But I think I agree with kind of what you were kind of going about with the communications and miscommunications within the community here, because it's partially, I kind of wanted to say it's partially our fault. We've been kind of slower in that sense to communicate the full incident report, like on day one perfectly, and we have like been the entire team full force kind of fixing the issues on the back end, but we kind of neglected that we had to like openly communicate this, even though it could be like a very technical write-up that might take longer. But if I guess if we kind of communicated that openly from the get-go, we could have prevented a lot of this rumor or misinterpretation. So it is kind of a process that we kind of learned throughout this incident. I would say it's one of the key takeaways, and I've been greatly affected by that personally. So I've been seeing a lot of feedback from the community, even though I may or may not be able to respond right away. And you know, it's been quite a painful lesson to kind of see that happening, have it kind of spiral out of control just because communications was not as timely as we should have been. Right. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I think the flip side of the coin, the bright side of that, is maybe within that first 24 to 48 hours, you guys didn't get to achieve some of those things you had wished on the communication standpoint. But it does seem like Cetus jumped into action very quickly, right away, from my understanding and from what I've heard from people at Sweet Foundation and Missing Labs and people, other DEX protocols that were involved, it was an all hands on deck situation. And not just the CETUS team, but I know Christian has spoke about this and many other people as well, how really everyone has come together. And so for the community to understand just how hard CETUS has been working, the exploit happened, I believe it was around 4 a.m. Pacific time. And I know Cetus may have a team that is based in Asia, or some team members are remote. But can you just detail how the team reacted to it, maybe within those first couple days, and then updates over the last week, and then we can kind of maybe move towards the future, right? How Cetus is working to create a remedy. But what did it actually look like after the exploit within those first couple of days in that first week? How hard the team was working, how you guys were trying to stay positive and optimistic and work together. I think that would be great for people to hear, because sometimes after such an event we can maybe become a bit cynical. But overall, I feel like the Cetus team has been working very diligently. So Gio and Henry and Amy, if you guys want to share a little bit on that, and even Christian too, because I know you've been very busy and you have eyes on this entire situation.
Um, Christian, do you want to start, and then maybe I can follow?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to jump in. David, thanks for moderating this, and Henry and Gio and Amy. Definitely, my hats off to you all for the level of work that has happened over the last week or so. I know it's been quite a challenging time. However, I will say this is that there are some things that are very clear to me. Is that it's important to see what people actually do in the middle of a big challenge, right? That's when you really get to see what people are made of, is when it's real tough. And so my hat's off to you guys to just, standing up to this, making sure that your users were protected, and doing everything that you can to make sure that your community and the larger Sweet community is supported in a way that's meaningful. So we're here to support you, and grateful that you're here, willing to engage with the community in a meaningful way.
Thank you so much. So, I guess I can kind of give everyone sort of a rundown. To my memory, we have sort of communicated this within our Twitter account as well, but I'll just kind of walk through what we have done as a team collectively within the initial hours after the incident, and certain actions that we took after that. So we're going to talk about day 0, day 1, and day 2 onwards. I would say, first off, once we have identified that this incident occurred, we, as a team on the back end, immediately suspended the protocol services on the contract level of things for all functions associated with our CLMM contract. This is mainly to prevent further exposure to the attack for our users. And after the fact, so the second part is we reported this incident to the Sweet validators, the Sweet Foundation, Wormhole, and Sweet Bridge, respective explorers for Sweet and Ethereum networks, and different entities such as Circle. We then are taking initiatives in attempts to freeze the hacker's assets on Sweet and label the identified wallets on Ethereum that belong to the hacker. So the third thing that we kind of progressed in doing is we onboarded Inca Digital as our investigation and legal consultant for this incident. So after consulting with them at hand, an on-chain message indicating a white hat offer and settlement was sent to the hacker's wallet, and I guess a lot of you guys already saw that on-chain. After that, the dev team on the product side of things, we mended the vulnerability at hand, resulting in the attack with internal evaluations, as well as other external support from trusted audit partners and also the SWE security team, and that's where we kind of were able to come together and mend that as well. After that, I would say this is the fifth. We commence the calculation of the realized losses from this incident. Yeah, this really started. The numbers started adding up, and I have to say, from a team's perspective, it's a very difficult time here. But collectively, the team really worked together and began structuring a feasible, what we believe to be a feasible recovery and compensation plan for our users in the community. Upon going through the team treasuries that we have, we initiated different conversations with various institutions and entities, which included the SWE Foundation, to solicit loan proposals as a whole. So after that, we I think a lot of people knew we did not hear back from the hacker from the on-chain message regarding the white hat settlement. So we then announced a bounty program alongside Inca Digital and SWE Foundation, which a lot of people saw. During this initiative, I wanted to kind of highlight here because we did have these concerns from the community, which I have addressed personally, but I'm going to repeat this again. We had involved selective but non-developer focused team members, such as, myself, where I don't code like David. So were more like included in this process as we involve more security experts and institutions into the tracking process of the hacker themselves. And then we were able to kind of move into formal filing in different jurisdictions for further intervention. So as a team, I think we kind of dedicated different team members to handle different aspects at the same time. It was not really kind of like a prioritized level of things that we were doing. It was more like different groups of people were handling different things at the same time. In the early hours, like I mentioned, it was a lot of troubleshooting on the technical side, the investigation side, and emergency communications with relevant third parties, which then kind of caused what I was mentioning before, the lack of direct communication towards the community, which, we really wanted to kind of emphasize that we apologize for that greatly. Moving forward, we're going to focus on delivering transparent and effective communications in a much more timely manner.
Well, I think if anyone was listening in, you can hear how hard the Cetus team has been working. And thank you, Amy, for kind of elaborating on all that, because truly it seems like it was a full team effort, whether you were a coder, whether you were not a coder. Everyone was kind of working together during a moment of crisis or during a challenging time. And as Christian said, sometimes it can be a blessing in disguise, or there's a silver lining when you have such a moment, when there is a situation that requires you to step up and to embrace some grit. You get to see your true character. And I think that the Cetus team has done a good job of coming together. And it sounds like, we were actually just, Amy, you were just touching on some of the things that you have done with the team and the team has done to move forward. And I want to get into that, but we did have one kind of common theme, a common question from the community, and it's more technical. So I think we can wrap this up because Gio did a great job of explaining it, but I do want to talk about Cetus protocol, right? You guys have been tenured, long-standing builders on SWE Network and an expert team. And in the past, there were several audits that were done. The Cetus team has always worked to resolve any kind of issues on audits and assess the threat levels of those audits. If you can talk about previous audits and how the Cetus protocol team works to review those audits, and then following the incident, any additional audits or assessing additional threat levels, I think that would be helpful too. I know that you guys have been putting in a lot of effort there, but talking about, from a technical standpoint, how Cetus has kind of batten down the hatches, right? How you guys have doubled down on security alongside Sweet Network as well, who has shown similar things through their actions. And I'll pin something to the nest, but Gio or Henry, if you guys can talk a little bit about the audit side of things, I think that would be helpful and give some good context here too.
Sure. Actually, we have been put our top priority and emphasis on the security protection and safeguard, especially in smart contract audit all the time since our first day. Actually, since the first day that we have launched on the Sui mainnet, we are one of the defined teams that have invested the most in our smart contract audit. And for every product and every core, especially our CLM contract, we have going through multiple rounds of smart contract audits by multiple audit partners. But there's one negligence that we have made, and we realized that sometimes the communication is even more important than the audit itself, because sometimes the errors or ignorance might coming out of the miscommunication between us and auditors. Uh, because I just mentioned the bug is actually in our integer-made open source library, which our CRM core contract is dependent on. We assume that, and for going through the smart contract audit of our CRM contract, its dependency and its dependency smart contracts and code base should all be audited. But sometimes, or at least the code auditing for those dependencies are not with the same resources as the core basis. So that's actually some ignorance or negligence in terms of the miscommunication between our teams and our auditors. Uh, so I think in the future for the smart contract audit for this for this part, I think we have a lot of a lot of space and ways to go and to improve. And also, this incident cost us a heavy price and taught us a huge lesson. This incident will forever be imprinted in our minds of our teams, and we are terribly sorry for this impact and losses that this incident and attack had towards our users and the broader Sui ecosystem. In the past, we used to believe that ensuring the security of our protocol just meant endlessly dedicating resources to repeated audits our smart contract. But after this incident and during this process, uh, we found out that a comprehensive and 100% dependable level of security sometimes cannot be achieved by ourselves, cannot achieved by the efforts from our own teams and merely a few audit partners. It should have been achieved through the collective efforts of numerous teams, builders, developers, and parties in the whole ecosystem, and through an open source manner. So following this, we are working and improving towards several different aspects. For example, we're gonna any of those existing protocol upgrades that we have for now will go through multiple rounds of audit contributions, as well as the system from the Swift security team before our relaunching. And later, we will perform smart contract audit, smart contract source codes with higher test coverage and publicly report our code coverage metrics to the public. And we will also start a new round of full security audits with multiple audit partners. And we will cover the entire Cetus associated code base in scope. And we, we want to make sure our audits in the future will apply to every new general release and after every new major code modifications, and also when we reach out our new major milestones such as major TVL milestone or major trading milestone as a protocol. And more importantly, we will strengthen and upgrade our security monitoring system I think this is very critical to our future safeguard our system. We're gonna establish a dynamic security detection system. We will leverage some tools like blockade or other tools to improve our real-time monitoring to detect and respond to the threats and ongoing vulnerabilities. Uh, when there's a risk detected, we will terminate our smart contract immediately upon security breach instead of just going through manual inspection. Uh, and with all of this, as well as enhanced risk management mechanisms such as the relimiting of asset flows, I think we can control and manage our risk management and safeguard our system in a better way. And at the end of the day, in the long future, we want to adapt to become entirely open sourced. And at the same time, we will dedicate our enhanced white hat bug bounty to the wide developer ecosystem on Sui to reward and give bounties to those valuable bug reports from contributors to make sure we can get a collective effort from the whole building community on Sui to safeguard and protect our protocol as a whole. So that's what we're going to do in terms of the security enhancement in the future.
Well, that was quite thorough. And I mean, that's good to hear. I think it's good to hear. And a very robust security response there, taking additional measures, not just technically, but strategically. And you brought up a good point, right? Sometimes the security the security measures itself are focused around the communication back and forth between the parties, whether it's the protocol or the person managing the audit or the auditing company. And that's something that I haven't even thought of. So it sounds like the Cetus protocol team has put quite a bit of thought into this and a very good response, Gio. So thank you. I think that that will be definitely helpful for many community members to hear. And going back to what Amy said, there was an on-chain vote for the frozen SWI assets, and the retrieval has officially passed. The validators acted in a decentralized manner there. So, what are the next steps needed before the protocol is restarted and LPs can regain access to their liquidity?
Yeah, that is correct. I think since we have highlighted this, the steps in particular on our previous Twitter update in writing, I would advise people to also kind of refer to that after this space, but I can kind of briefly walk through what has been done and what will follow. So right now, the funds have been safely quarantined in the multi-sig wallet right now, and for us, mostly it's consisting of the contract upgrade for our CLMM, data restoration, asset conversions and deposits, finalizing our compensation contract, and then product upgrades in the future, and then eventually reach full protocol restart here. As kind of highlighted previously, and I'm seeing some comments coming in, our estimated timeline is within a week, so it should be within this week. In terms of progress from what has been done right now, the CLMM contract upgrade is officially completed and it's going through final rounds of audits, multiple rounds of it. We have completed a preliminary data recovery right now, and we are currently working through finalizing a thorough plan to kind of conduct the minimal required kind of swapping of assets to make sure that we are able to eventually restore and balance the respective pools. So as a whole, if you kind of go through that, we are making decent progress, and we believe we're closely approaching to full restoration and recovery soon.
Well, I just looked at the calendar, and hack was on the 22nd, and the validators sprung into action quickly. They realized what was going on. The Cetus protocol team sprung into action. Everyone really reacted quite quickly and again in a decentralized manner. And we've had many spaces talking about what decentralized actually means. And I think how Sweet Network exemplified why it is decentralized. And we've had many spaces about this. So if you guys are listening in, I would encourage you to go back and listen to some of those. But now, as we move forward, in less than 2 weeks, it sounds like we may have the ability to have Cetus protocol fully up and running. So thank you for sharing some of that, Amy. And part of what was done, you mentioned you were reviewing treasuries. The Cetus team was, I guess, reviewing financials internally. And Christian, we saw that Cetus announced that they had secured a loan from the Sweet Foundation. And so combined with Cetus's other financial resources, it seems like we are getting a 100% recovery here. Could you share a little bit about Sweet Foundation's role here and maybe some of that kind of collaboration between Sweet Foundation and Cetus?
Yeah, sure, David. Happy to. Yeah. So what we've done there is that we've stepped in with a secured loan to Cetus. And the reason for that is to help uh, cover a portion of the roughly 60 million in funds that were bridged off chain to Ethereum. And really, the point of this here is to get Cetus to a place where you get to full user restitution. Our goal, really, in issuing the loan was to help Cetus make users whole as soon as possible. There's a lot of logistics to work through, but that was the primary goal there. Really, at the end of the day, when you talk about decentralization, right, it's important to note, of course, that the foundation did not vote in the on-chain voting about returning funds back to Cetus. We were simply a facilitator at Cetus's request, and really, we're about being proactive in an approach that really talks about ecosystem resilience at the end of the day. We want to make sure that we're offering support, not just reactively, but in a way that respects the community.
And in the wake of this incident, I think Sweet Network has done a really good job of stepping up. And I did post one thing into the Jumbotron. If you guys can see it, it was the first one there. So you may have to swipe over to the right. But there has been an additional 10 million in support for code audit grants from the Sweet Foundation. So aside from this secured loan with Cetus, you guys have been doing you've been going above and beyond. I'll leave it at that. And I think the community notices that. And on behalf of them, I'm super appreciative for you guys taking those actions.
Yeah, I mean, in the middle of a crisis, especially day two, right? It's important to begin an evaluation and find ways that you can, find that silver lining ultimately. And in this instance, we're here to bolster broadly the security across the ecosystem. It's important that we do that. We're committed to being the safest place in which people can transact business in a meaningful way. So you'll see us push in that way across the ecosystem in meaningful ways, like we have in the past, but we're even pouring more gasoline on that fire.
And at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words. You said 100% restitution and building trust was a priority. And I believe that you guys have done quite well in that regard. So thank you again. And Cetus, if Gio or Amy or Henry, if you guys have anything to add in here about the loan or about the financial management, we can chime in. And
Oh, yeah, sure. I think I can take this question. Actually, as our commitment to our community, Citus will be utilizing of the financial capability to cover all of our users' losses during the attacking time. And Citus financial capability may consist the following. So one is cash treasury, so which is non-Citus assets, and also include but not limited to USDC or BTC. And the second one is token treasury. So we also use a part of Citus token, including all of the Citus token held by team, and which will be dedicated to cover all of the loss. Uh, in addition, that we apply the critical loan from Sui Foundation, and finally secure the loan. We highly appreciate the decision Sui Foundation had made it, and the huge support. With combined with it, we will make the whole and recover the 100% of the assets who lost on this incident.
Also, very good to hear. And just before this, we were kind of rounding up some of the community questions. And Henry, you shared with me a few product related questions from users, and I've seen some and heard some as well. So, some LPs haven't claimed their accumulated fees yet. How will those fees be affected? Also, did the incident maybe have any impact on the Cetus staking users? Can you add some color to that picture for us, Henry?
Yeah, maybe I can answer this
Okay.
one because I'm more familiar with our product. So I also heard about those questions from our community because many LPs have accumulated substantial fees and rewards in their account but they haven't claimed it before we shut down our CLM contract. So for that part, for all the unclaimed LP fees, transaction fees, and rewards accumulated by each LP account within our protocol, those are completely not affected, and they all remain fully intact during this incident because the attacker only drained the liquidity of each pool, but not have any impact on our fees and rewards within each liquid pool. So after we fully restart our protocol, all the LPs can still claim their fees and rewards out of their earnings. So that's no change. And also, the Cetus staking is also one of the most popular and most frequently used product by our community and users. Uh, uh, this part, all the Cetus users are also not exposed to this attack either. Actually, just last week's Cetus staking rewards were distributed as normal because the rewards had already been registered before the incident. I believe many of our Exodus fans already claimed their rewards last week, as they did before. So, other than the fact that the staking reward, the Exodus staking reward for this week, will probably be paused for 1 week because there are no new fee earnings generated due to the current temporary CLM contract suspension. And but all the Exodus staking positions and its full functionality, including deposit, withdrawal, stake, and claiming, all of this functionality regarding the Exodus remain completely safe and not affected at all. Because this part of the smart contract is standalone, which is independent to our CLM contract.
That's good to know. That was one question that had come up on a previous space, and thank you for providing some clarity on that. Another thing that I've heard quite a bit, and even more so recently, after this on-chain vote, was what's going on with the investigation? Is there any updates on the hacker or on the situation itself? And is there still any chance to recover those remaining stolen funds in the future? And if so, how will you guys deal with those recovered funds if that is the case, if there is some development into the investigation? So to the Cetus team, I don't know who wants to jump in there, but is there any kind of updates regarding the hacker in this investigation?
Okay, I think I can take this question. Actually, the incident has been reported to different countries such as US and also Singapore, and has officially entered the investigation for the handling. Actually, there are a lot of tools and used by hackers and generate some leads process and receive some related information from the different authority to help the investigation. And also with and and also we successful point the hackers the hacker time and also the tools used, gas source, as well the behavior of the wallet address. And also we can connect on and associate with his incident. Actually, we are confident the hacker will be tracked and arrested. Once the hacker is arrested and also the fund returned, we will firstly pay the loan to Sui Foundation in full. and the remainder of asset, we will use it buy back Cetus token and refill into our token treasury. And also we will for DAO. And the DAO will to doing the governance proposal. We believe that measure will be the best way to protect our users and ensure the sustainable development of the protocol in the long term.
Yeah. Basically, we have made big progress in the investigation in terms of the hacker tracking. I think have him arrested is just a matter of time. We just don't want our users to keep waiting. We just don't want our users to wait for the fund recovery with us together, because we know the legal enforcement takes time. It takes sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years to chase back the full fund. We just don't want our users to keep waiting. So that's the reason why we mobilize all of our financial resources to make sure we can cover our users' loss in full in advance, and then leave the investigation and leave the backend tracking to us, and we will finally arrest him. That's 100%.
Well, that's actually great to hear. And I think there was so much maybe tension, right? The first couple days were a bit hectic. The first week was still pretty tense. And when people realized what the options were, the multitude of options, I think a lot of people were focused on the fund recovery and what Cetus has done to work with Sweet Foundation and internally to create a 100% remedy here for affected users. I think that's amazing. But people have. Did you want to jump in, Christian?
No. Go ahead and finish
Okay.
your thought.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's great to hear from my perspective, and I think we have about 650 people listening into this space. It's good to hear that the CETUS team is still prioritizing this investigation and looking into the hacker. And it sounds like you guys are confident that you're going to make some headway there, and you're kind of planning for that scenario as well. And in the recent days, right, we've been focused on the remedy available and the timeline, and a lot of what has been discussed on this space. But for me, it's comforting knowing that the CETUS protocol team and your partners in the investigation have continued to prioritize this, and you will prioritize it because you believe that finding the hacker is something that will again build trust as well as hopefully make all the parties whole here. So that's great to hear. Christian, did you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, sure. I'll add a couple of cents to this thought. I've watched the Cetus team basically pull the stops out on everything that you can do, and even more than that as it relates to this particular topic. I've literally spent most of my life dealing with these kinds of things in one way or another. And I mean, I can say that there's a lot of confidence that we'll be able to track this person or people down, and so it's in my mind, it's just a matter of time.
It's just a matter of time. I don't know if that was a warning shot for if the hacker is listening into the space, but if he is or she is, it's a matter of time. I think that's good to hear that again, CETUS protocol, you guys are pulling out all the stops here. And from a tech OG like Christian, sounds like you guys are certainly giving this plenty of attention. So that's great. I don't think this was actually a question that had come up on a space last week, and someone said, "Oh, they're just going to forget about it." But it really is. Again, kudos to you guys. And please, if you have any updates there, if you guys are following Cetus, it would be good. Turn on post notifications again, guys. Try not to click any random links. Make sure that you're following the accounts that are up here on stage. These are where you want to get your information. Again, just be very cautious. We don't want anyone else getting hacked. And so going back to the fund recovery and the protocol restarting, it's on the roadmap. And this is a big step in the right direction, right? Truly a massive step in the right direction. We're rebuilding this trust. We're building back stronger through the measures and actions that everyone is taking here collectively on the security front. But how do you plan to strengthen additional, I guess, security protections of your protocol or additional audit measures that are being taken? Is there anything else that you haven't covered today that you think you want to share with the audience here about how CETUS will commit to truly a bulletproof security practice, and I think maybe what your process looks like, or a continuation of evolving your security practices. So Gio or Henry, if you guys can maybe speak to that, that would be good to hear too.
Sure. For the security enhancement, I actually just introduced a few key points that we will working on, and we think we'll start from short term and the things just around the hands, and then go for the long term. So so in the short term, we'll just make sure our newly upgrade contract for our pool restoration and protocol restart is completely safe, and we have actually complete our new code upgrading and code change, which is currently under audit by our audit partners, and also under the double review by the street security team. We will make sure our combat is completely safe and strong. And also, just as I mentioned, in addition to the smart contract audit itself, we will strengthen our risk management and real-time monitoring system to make sure we can, in the future, we can respond to the risk, respond to the any potential attacks or danger uh, quicker than ever. And so I want to make sure we can eliminate those potential risks at the first minute to make sure no major funds will be affected like this time. So those will be the key directions that we'll be working on. And in the long term, because now we realize that no matter for what protocol, for what platform, for what product, uh, the success and security, the 100% security of its uh, contract and products cannot be solely relying on uh, the developer team itself or several auditor team themselves. It should be through the collective effort from the wide developer community, as well as those uh, building contributors of the whole ecosystem. So that's the reason why we will, after multiple rounds of full code review and audits on our Cetus associated code base, we will go open source to make sure those key forces and the developers and other ecosystem members can all have eyes on our smart contract and make sure those potential risks or small bugs can be detected at the first place. And we will initiate a well-designed bug bounty program to the whole ecosystem to make sure every valuable feedback and very valuable bug report can be well rewarded and well paid and be well paid off. And that's the key direction that we'll be working on.
Well, that's certainly a very thoughtful approach, and a great answer, and gives me a bit of comfort. And we were actually speaking last week with several different people. As you know, we've been trying to combat some misinformation and educate people, and share updates. And really, that's the point of what today's space has been about, and the reason that we wanted to do it. And so far, I've learned a lot, and I believe that you guys have done a really great job of explaining many of these things. So last week on a space, we got a little bit of feedback, and I asked people, I said, hey, what is one word that you think kind of encapsulates or embodies this, this moment in Swedes history? And the one words response I got from people were, they were quite optimistic. It was resilient, tenacity, unified, and someone even said bullish. And I was like, wow. So collectively, the panel of speakers was feeling quite optimistic that day that Swede Network as an ecosystem would recover and come back stronger. And I think ultimately they were hopeful that Cetus would too. So I know that Amy has spoken about the impact of this incident on the Cetus team, and you guys have apologized at length. And I think that truly this is has probably taken an emotional toll. But how do you guys see this going in the future? Do you believe Cetus protocol will return to its previous heights? Do you look at this as a learning opportunity? Are you guys, determined to come back better than ever? Amy or Gio or Henry, if you can share some insight on that, I think that'd be good for everyone to hear, really.
Okay, I guess I can kind of start from here. I'm going to come in from more of like, I would say an irrational or more of like an irrational kind of perspective into kind of looking into all of this. I think I can speak on behalf of our team that everyone here, to us, it's an extremely painful and bitter kind of lesson that we have learned. I would say the incident itself, it highlighted a very critical message to us and also the other teams that were building within the SWE ecosystem that, investing in security should always be a prerequisite for any forms of development. It's really ironic, I guess. We have spoken, me personally, I have spoken to a lot of up and coming projects in the past where when we were exploring ways to collaborate amongst two projects, we would always consistently ask them, what are you guys doing within your audits? What are you guys doing to ensure security? The ironic part, I guess, is we kind of had this incident instead. But ultimately, I think it's the protocols that withstand kind of the collective efforts and security testings from the community as a whole over time that will eventually be able to deliver true development and, I guess, breakthrough towards the ecosystem. I think that's kind of how I see it. Yeah, and I don't know if Gio and Henry has anything to add here, but that's how I kind of view things.
Yeah, for me, I never thought that we would definitely be back, and we would definitely back to our previous height and even new height. We never thought that, and I know this is a very challenging time for us and for the SWE community, and we know there's a huge loss cost for our community and the users. But at the same time, this is also uh, uh, a big step for the whole SWE ecosystem, because now we have defined what is the better decentralization to protect its users, protect those people who really value to this ecosystem, and I think for the SWE ecosystem, this might be something like the FTX moment. And after that, is it's all going up. It's all going better and better because every probably every ecosystem have to go through this, and it's just that we're not that lucky that we are paying the price for this lesson. Uh, but it's better to be us because we have been building on SWE since the day one. We are the very first DeFi protocol that is deployed on the SWE mainnet. And uh, if there is attack and Cetus, and Cetus is not that lucky and to take this attack, but we still have resources and we still have our capability to fix this, and we are 100% confident that we can get back to the top. And there's I'm uh, just after going through those most desperate moments after the hack was happened, I'm also still proud of that. None of our team members had any hesitation or had any thought of giving up, and there's no surrender, there's no giving up in our dictionary, in Cetus team's dictionary, and so I'm so proud of our team that we have been working hard, working around cloud to get things right, even though I know many of our members are stressed and desperate at the first moment, just as me. But after that, everybody know that we have to calm down because we have to fix this right. We have to do our best to chase the funds back and cover our audience 100%. So we might be desperate for like 1 minute, but after that, we have been keeping calm and doing the right thing to get things back to keep our community and keep our product going. And also want to share about the rough schedule that we are aiming at, because right now we are working on our protocol pool restoration, data restoration, and also prepare for our upcoming protocol relaunch. We are aiming to complete this latest by the end of this week, and so we'll be back soon. And there's also one saying that I like very much. It says, uh, the legends are not defined by their successes; they're defined by how they bounce back. And we are 100% confident we will be back soon, and we will be back and grow with our users, with our community together, and together with the Sui ecosystem, because we know both Cetus and Sui ecosystem is still at its very early stage. We are definitely sure about this.
Yeah, that's a great point. And someone else said this to me that, this was like a day or two after the hack. And I thought it was kind of a crazy take, but he was like, man, I'm glad this happened now versus in like 3 years or 4 years when Sui's, the most used blockchain in the world. Or he's like, imagine if this had happened and Sui's servicing 1 billion users. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. And your perspective also, I think it gleans insight from the entire Cetus team about how you guys you saw the light at the end of the tunnel. It can be dark at times when the whole world feels like it's crashing down or there's a lot of pressure. But if you can make it out of that moment, if you can focus on that light, if you can withstand that pressure, then you can turn into a bit of a diamond. And I think Cetus has already proven to be quite durable, building over the last several years. In just the last several months, Cetus was doing about 50% of the DEX volume. And there's many other DEX protocols on Sui that are great. And we've heard from many of them recently. But I think for everyone's sake, right? What's important for people that are using Sui's ecosystem, for people that are coming into crypto, or people that are native here, right? We want to be able to have a decentralized ecosystem, or a decentralized network, I should say, which Sui is. And we want to have products or platforms, protocols that we feel secure using and are working and striving towards trustlessness. So I think it's great to hear that you guys have that perspective. Christian, if you want to add anything on, I know we're coming up towards the end of the hour, but really appreciate the Cetus Protocol team. And Christian, did you want to cap this off with something?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I mean, this has been a great space here to be able to get transparent about what's happened and where things are going in general. I mean, really, if you look back at it, right, I mean, it's been a week. Just the speed and the coordination of response has been pretty remarkable, I think, across the board, right? We've got 114 completely independent audit or validators across like better than 20 countries. So it's certainly a remarkable decentralized system, and at the same time, it's a decentralized system that's willing to act. And I think that's one of the most important things is that in my mind, there's a decoupling between decentralization and inaction. And I think that while you can be decentralized, it's also important to be able to stand up and do the right things in times that are really important. And so I'll just give kudos to not just Cetus and the team over there, but how Sui and the team supported, and candidly, even across the ecosystem and the various communities, I'm sure a number of people here. So my hat's off to you. We have the best community. I'm super proud of everyone. And we're going to take this opportunity and take full advantage of it. So.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave it. And again, guys, if you can repost some very good information, some educational updates here. So repost this space, tag someone if they had any questions or you feel like maybe they're misinformed. And I would highly recommend you to follow Cetus, Sui Network, Amy Henry, and definitely Christian, who's been dropping some high value content on the timelines. But again, guys, try to make sure you're clicking official links. And when in doubt, don't do anything crazy. Just sit on your hands, ask a friend. Again, this has been quite a good space. Thank you to Geo behind the Cetus Protocol PFP and Amy and Henry for not only making the time to show up in a big way for the Sui Network community, but share so transparently, as Christian said. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you, everyone, so much. And hopefully in the future, we'll see some more positive updates coming. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice night or a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, David.